Okay, so I just threw a bunch of things. I can juggle if you saw my other video. Anyways, let me stop my timer here. Back right on time, 5:30. Well, it's 5:31 now. And we're going to follow up from this morning, part 2 of celebrating you and celebrating your wins. And do you celebrate? And are you celebrating immediately and intensely? And again, this is something that I personally have to remind myself of all the time because I don't celebrate. I don't celebrate. Even when I thought I won nationals, like 5 years ago or whatever it was, I didn't celebrate because I knew I could do better. But it was a pretty big deal. And I was just like, not good enough. So it was pretty cool. But what are you not celebrating that you could be celebrating? And it doesn't have to be something big like nationals. It could be whatever. It could be like I actually just celebrated literally putting that that little logo because I'm on my phone. And I figured out how to put that little logo up there because I like having like the little logo at least. I should put the URL there so that people could see. I could hold that thing right there. So what are you celebrating? And are you celebrating? Do you celebrate when you do something amazing? And do you celebrate when you do something simple? And are you celebrating the things that you take for granted? There are things that you probably do all the time that you probably could be celebrating that you may not be. So that's part 2 is celebrate immediately, celebrate intensely. If that's jumping up and down, if that's like, that's just like me. Of course I did that. I'm awesome. And you can say all that stuff if you're by yourself because nobody's with you, right? Only me, myself, and I, you, yourself, and you, your will know that you're like, I'm awesome. It makes a big difference. And then to add to that, when you're celebrating, you can continue the celebration in the evening by adding this. If you journal, or even if you don't journal, it's something good to get in the habit of. Write it down. A couple things that I learned from this mental performance coach named Brian Kane. I don't know how many people know who he is. If you're not in the sports world or the athletic mental performance arena, but he's a bigger thing than I knew. So really cool. I was on a call and a couple of things came out of that. And one is wilt, somebody on the call mentioned. And the other that Brian mentioned was tilt. And it's something you can do at the end of the day. I like to do it at the end of the day. Wilt is what I learned today. And you can celebrate what you learned and relive that moment and be like, you know what? What I learned today is how to put this little logo up here. Tilt is today I learned that it's possible to put a little logo up here. Simple, right? Little goofy little things it gets you in the habit. The reason it's important to do those little things like that in anything that you do, not just celebrating, is because it gets you in the habit of celebrating. Start small in anything you do because the smaller it is, the easier it is. You don't have to wait until the big thing happens where you're like, yeah, now I can celebrate because I climbed Mount Everest. No, I went and climbed a little hill and that was awesome. And part of this, this tiny little small celebration idea is based on a really good book, if you haven't read it, and I'll go into more details maybe on this, is called Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg. If you have not read that, that's a really good book. There's a lot of really, really good books on habits, and I may break down all of them or something, but creating habits that are so easy that you can't fail. So create wins in your life so easy that you can't fail, and not wins, like create celebrations. Like I walked to the mailbox and didn't get winded. That would be for me. I don't get winded that easy, but you know what I mean. So part of that too is what you're focused on. So what you're focused on expands. I've said this several times before in the past, but focus on the wins, focus on celebrating, focus on the simplicity and the easiness of what you're doing, so that that momentum continues. And that's it. I'm doing pretty good keeping these under 7 minutes. I'm so proud of myself. I want to celebrate that. Yes. And again, so I'm still doing these. Tomorrow is going to be the same time, 8:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And I'm also, there's a link below. Click that link. If you're an athlete, if you're not an athlete, strength athlete, come check out my free sleep class that I'm doing next week, my peak performance sleep system crash course. And, or if you're a high performing woman, because I'm doing a women's only class. You can find the details in the link below, because I simplified, again, making it so easy that you can't fail. That's what I did with sleep. It works. So have an amazing day, because it's better than the alternative.